Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you. The bill before us today relates to an issue that the President's Working Group on Financial Markets and the Securities and Exchange Commission are diligently working to address: the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board's inability to inspect the audit work and practices of PCAOB-registered auditing firms in China. The mission of the PCAOB is to oversee the audits of public companies and provide the public with informative, accurate, and independent audit reports. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act and the PCAOB's rules impose requirements on firms that perform audit work for public companies, which include providing complete and timely access for PCAOB inspections. Conducting inspections in the United States is simple. However, conducting them internationally requires agreements with foreign regulators and firms. Over the years, the PCAOB has worked closely with their foreign counterparts on specific requirements for nearly all jurisdictions that have U.S.-listed public companies. This collaboration allows for joint inspections and enforcement matters. However, there are few countries for which no such agreements exist. The outstanding jurisdictions include Belgium, France, Hong Kong, and China. The Board is currently working on agreements that would lead to cooperation in Belgium and France and expects to have a final cooperative agreement to facilitate access there in the near future. China, on the other hand, has skirted these requirements. They have done so without showing any interest in allowing for such cooperation. As a result, the PCAOB cannot inspect the audit work and practices of firms in China and Hong Kong to the extent their clients have operations in mainland China. The Chinese government has exacerbated the situation by prohibiting audit firms from providing this information without the consent of Chinese financial regulators. This bill before us today prohibits the securities of a public company from being traded on a national securities exchange if the issuer has had 3 consecutive, quote, non-inspection years, that is, years that the PCAOB is unable to inspect a public company's auditors. During these non-inspection years, each company would be required to disclose the percentage of the shares owned by governmental entities, the governmental entities that have a controlling financial interest, and if any official of the Chinese Communist Party is a member of the company's board, as well as any ownership by the CCP. As the title of this legislation suggests, the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act is designed to prevent companies based in China and certain other jurisdictions from taking advantage of our deep and liquid capital markets while avoiding the scrutiny that comes with inspection of their financial statement audits. This situation is unfair and dangerous for investors. For that reason, the Act should be read to apply to companies where the auditor that signs the audit report is located in a jurisdiction that does not permit PCAOB inspection access. Nearly 6 months ago, the President released the Memorandum of Protecting United States Investors from Significant Risks from Chinese Companies. The memo directed the President's Working Group on Financial Markets to provide recommendations to address the issues with China. 3 months ago, the President's Working Group released that report. The report comprehensively details a number of recommendations to level the playing field for all companies listed on our exchanges and improve disclosure on the risks of investing in emerging markets. The implementation of these recommendations would effectuate the intent of Senator Kennedy's legislation. Moreover, immediately following the release of the report, SEC Chairman Clayton directed staff to prepare proposals to address these recommendations in a comprehensive and transparent manner through the rulemaking process. I applaud Senator Kennedy and his staff for their efforts and the President's Working Group on Financial Markets, as well as the PCAOB for their diligence. I would also like to thank House Minority Leader McCarthy and HFAC Ranking Member McCall for their leadership on the China Task Force. Republicans have and will continue to fight against communism and the global threat the Chinese government poses. Finally, I would like to thank Mr. Sherman for working with me to have similar legislation included in the House NDAA and his work in bringing this legislation to the floor today. Again, I want to thank the gentleman from Louisiana, Senator Kennedy, for all his work in standing up to China. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves.